Hey there guys, welcome back to the Bochum Regionals. You're now joined with myself, Shay Burton, Benjamin Rabioti, and I tell you what, we're going to have a very interesting game here because we have a spicy deck making it through to day 2 and just won their last round as well.
Yeah. Well, we've had a chance to go around the tables during our first round of day 2. We spoke about the diversity of the format.
Yeah.
And by golly, this deck is the variation we were talking about. We're talking about Zacian V-Star with pairing up with the Mew and Crobat engine that we usually see with the Vikavolt. But it's making its plays. It's going to be captained by Luke Kirkham. And tell us a bit about Luke.
Right, so Luke is actually a good friend of ours as well, but Luke actually has some really good finishes from back in the day, most notably a top 4 placement at the ECC in 2015, which was a very big, prestigious event. Think of that as like an EUIC all the way back then. But I tell you what, Rabbi, like I said, we were just doing a little bit of walking the tables, and all I saw was a Zacian V-Star, and I was like, right, let's get this on next round then. No messing about. So yeah, big fan of this deck, 100%. In case you don't know what the Zacian V-Star does, it does for free energy, I think 200 damage, like a shred style attack. But in the big attack, if you detach 1 more energy so it gets to 4, you do 310 with the V-Star attack, Sword Star.
Yeah, so effective against these big 3 prizes. Doing 310 damage is not going to come in useless against those big opponents.
And then looking over at Miloslav, no slouch either. Plenty of good finishes. As I can tell you now, chat, I'm scrolling on his Limitless page, and I'm having to scroll for a while. So Miloslav, a very good opponent there. Playing that Lost Box. I believe I had him on yesterday. Piloting that Lost Box, and let's have a look at this variant. It is a Sky Seal Stone variant with 1 copy of the Raikou V and a Drapion, so as the activators for that Sky Seal Stone. But Raikou doesn't hit Zacian for weakness, so Sky Seal Stone might not be strictly relevant, at least immediately.
Yeah, it might not be something that comes into play during this game. Luke might go for a different route here. He might stick with just the efficiency of Zacian, as we see here, the Intrepid Sword attaching 1. Luke might be looking to go pure aggression here, getting ahead of the prize race against what is going to probably be a single prize navigation by Miloslav. Like you said, we had Miloslav yesterday on stream. I had a chance to have a chat with him during the winner's interview. He's fully confident. We spoke to him earlier in the day, and we see him here 7-2-1. We can see that confidence had shone through to day 1, and here we see him with a really good record going into day 2.
No, 100%. It's going to be really interesting here because I'm sure a lot of you folks are thinking, the format's just Lugia, it's not that great. Well, how about we've got the Zacian V-Star here, day 2, 7-2-1, so don't come telling us about formats boring because clearly just need to innovate a bit more. But I tell you what, we're speaking off camera, Zacian V-Star, in my opinion, Zacian V, I should say, arguably the best attacker I've ever seen printed. Not only has it got that Intrepid Sword ability, allowing Luke to get to 2 energy in play turn 1 going first, that also gives you card advantage, but also 3 energies for 230 damage might not be strictly relevant in a Lost Box matchup where you don't really need to hit over 100 and something, but 230 for 3 energy.
So good against just the basic Vs.
Yeah,
and, we know that with the Intrepid Sword, you can get that Zacian energied up real quick, right?
Yeah.
And we know that 230 isn't anything shy of a basic V attack. We know that it knocks out most things in format, say the Mew V or say the Lugia V. And Luke capitalizes early on those big hits. So, as we see here, he's in a positive position. He's got those energies gone up. He's got the Zamazenta nice and ready for the Retaliate attack. He's going to be playing the Metal Sources, of course. Why wouldn't you? It pairs great with the Zacian V.
Yeah.
It always has, and Luke's... Let me tell you a little story about Luke.
Okay, let's hear the story. Come on, let's go. Behind the scenes.
Luke's the sort of guy to give you the hello mate.
Yes.
He gives you the hello mate at about 3 a.m. You see your phone, you pick it up, and you see that Luke Kirkham give you a message, and he will always ask you for the most obscure cards, and you think, what are you cooking up?
What are you cooking up?
And first of all, I thought he was looking for a Zacian V-Star for his collection.
You're collecting Crowns on it for you, mate.
but no, he was looking to play it, and all props to him.
Yeah, no, it's just funny. I feel as if we've all had those experiences where you're trying to build a deck at like 2 a.m., 3 a.m. But normally people are just trying to like maybe play an archetype that they don't own, like a Mew or a Lost Box. But no, Luke will go out there. And like you said, when you see Luke pop up asking for a card, you have no idea what it could be.
No,
it could be something as crazy as a Zacian V-Star. It could be something as crazy as, I don't even know what else is in format as crazy. I mean, when it's Luke, you actually have no idea. But full credit to him, not only does he not play these off-the-wall, homebrew, off-meta decks, but he does really well with them as well.
No, for sure. And we speak about these players who like to put their finger on the pulse of the format.
Yeah, we were discussing that yesterday.
They're looking for alternate routes. They're not, maybe looking for the top 3 decks, but the majority of their thinking is placed on how do I have a positive matchup against most of the meta, and how do I take advantage of most players not having a clue while I'm playing.
No, 100%. Almost similar to what we were saying with Sander, right, where you might, like, looking at face value, Miloslav might have a way to, like a roadmap to win this game, but if you don't identify it quick enough and start doing it perfectly from turn 1, it might just start to get away from you a little bit. And think about it, Lost Box this sort of version of Lost Box is used to just being able to up trade with Sky, Steel, Stone, to take extra prize cards via weakness normally, and then just try and utilize Sableye and Cramorant to sort of get you across the line. But Cramorant isn't going to do a lot outside of carrying his Mew. There is no way to KO a Zacian V-Star in one hit via Sky, Steel, Stone, because there's no fire type attackers here. No. And Luke has a plethora of offensive cards such as Cross Switchers, Raihans, Metal Sources, Escape Rope. So, mate, I think Luke will probably be taking a prize a turn, and Miloslav might struggle. Yeah,
I think the key is here. Well, we see here Miloslav taking advantage here of the prize race already with the Cramorant on the Mew with the Spit innocently. But the key thing is here for Kirkham is that he's going to take advantage of not having that weakness to anything in Miloslav's deck. As we said, Miloslav likes to capitalize with the Raikou V on, say, the Lugias, with the Drapion V on the Mews. But, you don't go into this format thinking, I've got to put some fire into my deck. We know that Radiant Charizard's more orientated around the big knockouts, the 280s. And the setting up on the V maxes, but Luke might be it might be placed here on focusing, keeping up with the switch outs, like you said, taking the knockout per turn. He's going to be taking single prizes.
Oh, and there we see the Zacian V-Star as well.
Here we see the Zacian V-Star. He's looking to capitalize on this real quick.
There we see the double cross switch as well.
Switcher. But here's what I just mentioned earlier. Capitalizing on the switch outs.
Yeah.
With the Zacian V-Star, you don't need to keep up with the Intrepid Sword effect of not being able to attack next turn. So he'll be doing a fresh 200 per turn.
Yeah, no, 100%. And that Zacian V-Star attack, because obviously Luke can just use that, won't need to use Brave Blade. 3 for 200, no drawback. It's just going to go through all effects on your opponent's active. So now Luke won't even really have to bother with having to musical dance. He can just do 200. And that's got, what, 270 HP, I believe? Yes, that's a big number when you're not hitting for weakness. So, putting the pressure on Miloslav here. I like taking out the Comfey, really making it hard for Miloslav to get cards in the lost zone. Can't quite see how many cards are in the lost zone now. Would like to maybe get that lost zone counter up at some point. Can't quite see it, so hopefully we can get that. But without having any Comfey in play, Miloslav reading the Zacian V-Star, probably wasn't expecting to play against that in a regional day 2. But it's going well.
And Luke's played this really well. He's done the Mani for Disruption, so we know that Miloslav's down to a hand of only 4. He's only got the Radiant Greninja in play to see more cards with consistency on board. He's got no Comfey left. So it's going to be, it's asking the question to Miloslav, how can you navigate your way through this? How can you start doing some damage to this V-Star? But I think the key thing is here now, Kirkham has allowed Miloslav to maybe capitalize on this V-Star being in play by, using that Sky Steel Stone with the Raikou. So it's whether Miloslav can start setting up this damage.
Yeah, I think one interesting thing at that turn there, I imagine Luke did need to find a energy to start attacking, and he didn't find it off that minus, but he did have to put down that Crobat, and that Crobat could be a Sky Steel Stone target for Raikau to take X. Oh no, it can't. It's a basic.
Yeah,
what am I on about? What am I? Ignore me. Ignore me. But it is still easy prizes via Sableye. Sableye can target that down.
No, for sure. Miloslav wouldn't mind more 2 prizes on the board.
Yeah,
of course. And we know that Luke is going to be probably having to use that Crobat engine, like we said, to start to set up. So it's not going to be a rare occasion for Luke to be putting down the Crobat for that extra consistency to find certain cards, like, say, the Metal Saucer or the Cross Switcher, which are really combination cards, I would say. But, you know, Miloslav looking at his hand here, he's looking at how do I approach this game? How do I approach this game?
Yeah,
do I set up? He's going to be setting up damage with the V-Star. So, like I said, it's going to be setting up that play with the Raikau with the Sky Seal Stone. The Raikau is in hand as well. So we see here the Raihan coming down. And we can possibly see here starting to set up the Zamazenta, of course. And possibly looking for maybe a Comfey. Yeah, of course, the Colress will set him up nicely for next turn as well. And as we see here, Miloslav just looking through the deck, just doing a little check to see what outs he has, how he's never going to navigate himself through this game.
And yeah, it's going to be interesting because that Zamazenta 1 prize is going to be really hard to deal with.
It's hard hitting.
Yeah, hard hitting. I hit for 240.
So it'll be 220.
220. Good
so
number.
That will knock out the any V that Luke Kirkham has. So it will probably be a priority for Luke Kirkham to get that Zamazenta out of the way to prevent any sort of basic V knockouts. So, you know, this is a game around prize trading.
It really is, 100%. 100%.
It's how each player navigates themselves through this game towards, you know, how can I get one up against my opponent? How can I utilize the single prize matchup here?
Yeah. And I guess one thing that Zamazenta could do is get the V-Star into range for then maybe Miloslav to close the game out with Raikau, Sky Seal Stone to take 3 prize cards. So it's going to be, like I said, it's going to be a very interesting chess match, and I believe like how each player can manipulate prizes in a certain way. Luke just wants to try and take 1 prize a turn and try and get rid of attackers as and when possible. Miroslav might want to try and set up the Sky Seal Stone, or at least maybe target down the Crobats, because I think that Crobat is going to be a bit of a liability, unfortunately. But then Luke does play his own copy of Zamazenta as well, and can look to maybe try and utilize that, because I mean it has 100 base, so that can knock out Manaphy, that can knock out Sableye, that can knock out Comfey on its own right. Here we do see the Raikau as well. Interesting benching it now, though. That is really... that gives Luke Kirkham a turn to get rid of that, and then that will deny the Sky Sword Stone outside of using Drapion, and that's very expensive to use.
No, yeah, of course. And this is an advantage now for Kirkham, but of course Miloslav deciding to put that, prioritizing putting the Raikau down now. Now we know he plays 2 ordinary rods, so we could he can get this back at any point to start utilizing, like you said, the game plan towards Sky Seal Stone. But putting it down, it's interesting. Maybe he's thinking that Kirkham is going to be looking to disrupt again next turn.
Yeah.
And with disruption means he can't boss, but we do know Kirkham does play the Cross Switcher.
Yeah.
So we'll see how, looking at his hand, he's got the Metal Saucer. He's got Marnie, so he can, like we said, can disrupt again, but his priority is probably going to be to knock out the Raikau and get ahead on the prize race.
Yeah, I really like, if Luke can get that KO, go down to 3 prize cards, that's going to put him in a real strong position. And if he can maybe even do it with that freshization as well.
Another V-Star going down.
Yeah, that would be really strong.
One thing we're forgetting here as well is the Zamazenta is still on board. So, you know, there's 2 massive threats for Kirkham on board. So we see...
Does opt for a Marnie, I believe.
Does opt for the
so
Marnie.
Air Balloon, double Metal Saucer, Scoop Up Net. I guess what Miloslav could be trying to say here is like, you can go after this Raikau if you want, but then the Zamazenta is just going to finish you off anyway. So it's sort of like pick your poison.
And it's so active as well because of the training court. So Luke Kirkham only plays Collapse Stadium to be able to get rid of that, the training court. So we know that Miloslav has a water in hand. So to get the Zamazenta up, all you'll need is a Mirage Gate or another Raihan. He's already used his Raihan, so that won't be active. So the only way he'll be able to get an attack with the Zamazenta will be the Mirage Gate, and we'll see if he does. And a key thing is here, which one does he go with? Does he go with a Raikou with a Sky Seal Stone? It's all dependent on his hand, of course.
Yeah, he did just get Marnied, so...
I think the key thing is here, he's already used the Raihan, which means that he's not going to be able to search out the Sky Seal Stone. So he's going to have to draw into it. So we'll see here how he approaches this. Going to be using Flower Selecting.
Wonder what those cards are. So Basic Psychic, I believe, was one of them. But yeah, this is a sort of another game plan against Lost Box, right? It's just Marnie them. Lost Box is a deck that love to just grow the hand and have all the options available. So I'm sure in Miloslav's ideal scenario, he would want to just be able to, shall I go for Zam here or should I go for Sky Skull Stone? I can do both, but let me pick which one. But, you know, Luke just firing off those Marnies and just really limiting Miloslav's options here. And Lost Box is almost like a combo deck at this point, right? It does need to find Mirage Gates. It does need to find Sky Steel Stone. It does need to find its copies of energies when it needs them. And like you said, with Raihan already being in the discard pile, Miroslav hasn't got that sort of search. And here we just see a manual attachment to the Raikou V. And it looks like Miroslav's deciding. Could he even just go for the KO here with the Lightning Rondo, I believe? He could. Does he have the Sky? No, he doesn't. Oh, Fleet-footed? Does that get it? Oh no!
No.
I was gonna say
it'd be one of those moments where he'd definitely be smiling.
Yeah, that would hit the table at a fast rate.
It is going to be taking the knockout in any case.
Does go down to 3 prize cards,
yeah,
but then Luke can go down to 2, and then still has the Zamazenta. Could even use the Zamazenta now actually to leave a 1 prize inactive, and Luke could actually fill the bench, collapse Stadium away his own Crobat, and leave the board of really hard Pokemon for Miroslav to deal with. There we see the Mysterious Tail though coming from Luke, really strong card in this scenario. And you look at the top 5 and take an item, and all you want to see is Metal Sources at this point. Yeah,
of course. And the Zamazenta is so strong here for Kirkham because the only way for Miroslav to be able to knock out that Zamazenta is going to be with another Zamazenta.
Yeah.
So, you know, leaving a big chunky Pokemon in the active and able to take, without Retaliate, still doing 100 damage. So he can be knocking out, start to knock out Comphase as well. So we'll see how he approaches. Yeah, of course. If just decides to energy up the Zamazenta with 2 Metal Saucer.
Wow.
So we can definitely be seeing a retreat into the Zamazenta, retaliating for the knockout. A key thing here for Kirkham as well, he doesn't play Echoing Horn.
I think it was a Bird Keeper, I believe, actually. That's how he just drew 3 just to make sure. So there will be no other supporters coming out now.
Yeah, I didn't see that there, but so we'll see how...
Look how big Luke's hand is.
Yeah,
like, look at these energies just flying around.
Yeah, it's huge.
It's crazy.
It's a thing that I said yesterday with these Mew engines. It's a case of accordion hands.
Yeah.
You start your turn with 4 cards, and all of a sudden you have 8, and your opponent's like, what? What's going on?
What's happened here? You've minded me twice, and your hand's like 10 cards, and mine's like 3.
But with cards like Mew, Trekking Shoes, getting extra cards in the hand, players are able to do that.
I like the copies of Scoop Up Nets as well, so maybe try and deny some Sableye, because Miroslav only has 5 in the Lost Zone at this time, right? I think the Miners have really made it hard for Miroslav to sort of get in this game, and Zamazenta coming in the clutch. Who would have thought a Zacian Zamazenta deck, almost like all the way back in the day? What was that? Just after rotation, where that was a deck, Zacian Zam V. Here he is rocking it, so if you like Sword and Shield, maybe you should give this deck a go.
Yeah, no, for sure. And, he's 1 prize up. And, as you said there, it's a 2 prize a deck against something that, usually orientates around single prizes.
Yeah.
So, Luke's it's Luke's game here. It's Luke's game to lose.
This Zam needs to get dealt with. Like you said, the retaliation, even at its 100 base, can still take prizes for Luke. Whereas for Miroslav, really needs to remove this Zamazenta now. And to be fair, his hand's not the biggest. There's only 5 cards in the Lost Zone. I think there might be 6 now after that flower selected. So Mirage Gates aren't actually live at this point. Now that Zamazenta does have 1 basic energy on, so Mirage Gate does get there. Here we see a Scoop Up Net. This is actually a massive turn for Miroslav here. I think if he doesn't get a KO here, this game sort of slips away from him.
And of course, he's evolved into the V-Star. I think what something that we're missing here is evolving into the V-Star makes Miroslav, it's making it really awkward for him to knock it out. Although he's Kirkham's activating Miloslav's Sky Seal Stone, it's such an awkward HP here to be able to hit for Miloslav. So, leaving the Crobat on board, this is going to be Miloslav's priority here to be able to take the game.
I'm not sure how great his hand was there, Miloslav. I know the Flower Selecting had the option for Mirage Gate. Can't quite see what he got rid of, unfortunately, but there was a boss, but I didn't see any ways to get extra cards in the loss zone, because Mirage Gate isn't live right now.
Yeah.
Looks like we might be seeing an ordinary one potentially, finding out the discard pile and taking 2 copies of basic energy. But if Miloslav can't get another card in the loss zone, this game could start to slip away. And it's interesting because looking at face value, looking at this matchup, I thought Luke might struggle a little bit, you know, because you're a 2 prizer deck attacking into a 1 prizer deck, and traditionally that doesn't tend to go in your favor. But right now, Luke is in the driver's seat. That Zamazenta is a huge problem.
Yeah, but like I said, you know, this is, again, it's a deck that you don't think you're going to be coming up against too often. So, you know, Miloslav is not going to be orientating his deck around.
Is there definitely 7 cards in the... Okay, there is 7 cards in the loss zone. Okay, I was about to say.
So making the Zamazenta live now here, taking away Luke Kirkham's Zamazenta. Like we said, it's the only way that Miloslav is going to be able to knock this out without getting back any Rykhouse shenanigans with the ordinary mod. But here, you know, Luke's going to be thinking, I'm going to probably see the game out with Zacian v Star.
Yes.
And, you know, asking the question to Miloslav, look, if you've got boss into Crobat, you've got it. But, you know, you can see here the concentration from Miloslav. He's thinking, how can I see this game out? How can I see it out?
Yeah, this game definitely. I mean, this is what Miloslav had to do to stay in this game. He does need to take a KO, but I don't think it puts him in the driver's seat yet. I think it just evens out momentum for sure. I do like energy on the Greninja. That could actually be interesting because Mew does only have 60 HP, so that Moonlight Shuriken can start taking prizes. You know, Moonlight Shuriken into Mew and Crobat does then bring Crobat into Sableye range as well, so there is that to consider. But Miloslav's on a tight clock. Luke's on 2 prize cards, so hasn't really got a ton of turns to sort of maneuver around. Luke's done a really good job here keeping up the pressure in the prize race, and like I said, something I didn't expect to see, but you know, that Rykhouse V coming down has really, like I say, put Miloslav on a tight clock.
And Miloslav is... It's interesting with the Radiant Greninja because there's a different route here for Miloslav as well.
Yeah.
We know that he hasn't used the Scar Steel Stone yet, but with Greninja, he can, you know, soften up that Zamazenta and most importantly, soften up that Zamazenta, or possibly even take a softening up of Crobat to, you know, we can see some lost mine shenanigans, or possibly, you know, softening, like I said, softening up the V-Star. Miloslav will be able to bring back the Rykhouse to then activate the Scar Steel Stone Plate again. And, you know, without taking a knockout, Zamazenta is only doing 100 again.
Yeah, and then that would force Luke to either play some Boss's Orders or... Wait, he doesn't actually play Boss's Orders. He just plays 4 Cross Switcher and 2 Serena. So we know we've seen 2 Cross Switches hit the discard pile already. So if Luke had to, if Miloslav left Zamazenta or Greninja in the active, doesn't take a KO, Greninja in this case, Luke will have to do a lot of work to try and take a KO with the Zamazenta, or put Zacian in the active, which might not be too advantageous.
No, of course. And we see here Miloslav.
Another Mirage Gate.
Another Mirage Gate, opting to attach to, like we said, the Greninja and the Zamazenta. But, you know, I went on a little bit of a tangent there. There was 3 different options for Miloslav to take this game. And, you know, this just goes to show, you know, the Lost Zone deck, you just have to be engaged constantly. You know, you play the game so differently, and your gameplay just changes throughout the game. It's not like a Mew or a Lugia that is so aggressive. You're alternating your game as it flows.
Yeah, very reactive.
Yeah, very reactive. And we see here Miloslav, you know, the concentration levels, this is probably why, you know, he's thinking, how do I take this game? I've got so many options.
He does go for the Greninja as well. This is a really interesting play. This is like the thinking man's play, right?
Yeah,
you could just go on a mad one with the Zamazenta, but like you alluded to, I think Miloslav has worked out here. Like, this can be just an irritating play, right? I don't take prizes immediately, but I'm softening stuff up, and you know, for Sableye to come swinging. Now, let's see where this Nightly goes. I imagine some of it has to. Oh, it takes out a Mew.
Take out the Mew. Okay.
Takes out a Mew and then Nightly on Crobat. Yeah. So now Sableye can just close the game.
So he's going for the Sableye play. I believe this is the most consistent play.
Yeah.
Because we know that Sableye, you don't need to gust anything up. You know that Luke isn't probably going to be playing many. He's not going to be playing any big Parasol. Well, we know that. We're looking at his deck, and he definitely doesn't play any Espeon VMAX. So, you know, making that Sableye play active seems to be the most consistent way that Miloslav thinks he's going to see out this game.
And there we see like we alluded to, on that very first Marnie, and Luke had to put the Crobat down to find that one copy of Basic Energy, really coming back to bite him here. And Luke doesn't play a Mana Feat, opts not to play it, so bench damage via Greninja is live. And I have to imagine back on that Marnie turn, Luke must have been, I mean, I know I would have been very upset having to put a Crobat down there just to run a copy of Basic Energy. But, you know, Luke, let's see what Luke can manufacture here. Did have the Mysterious Tail, opting to attach to the Zacian. I think all Luke can really do is just stick the biggest HP Pokemon in the active and just say over to you, really. Or try and combine it with some cross switches and maybe take out a nicer target.
One play he could have gone here is that he does play the Collapse Stadium, so he could have done some.
He
could have done some shenanigans here, bench maybe 2 more Pokemon and get rid of the Crobat. But however, using Mew, you don't want to be putting Mew down when your opponent's on 2 prizes when you've already got a Mew.
Of course, because the Sableye just goes ding ding.
The Sableye is still active and still able to take 2 prizes. So, you know, Luke would have been looking for more Zacian, more Drapion. Oh, well, I say more Drapion, the only Drapion in deck, and maybe the Radiant Greninja. But we see here.
Oh, here we go, right.
Yeah.
So we just see, does Miloslav have Sableye plus B? I imagine he did.
We'll see here what happened.
I mean, hopefully we'll try and get confirmation as to what's happened there. I imagine maybe Miloslav just showed the Sableye plus Psychic, because that was definitely the win con there. But
I didn't see it.
Not 100% sure. We will try and get confirmation. I don't really know what. Miloslav definitely had options there, I think.
For sure.
Let's have a look. We're going to find out. Yeah, Miloslav must have been okay. Yeah, I'm sure maybe he just flashed the Sableye plus Psychic Energy for the win there. And it's so unfortunate for Luke having to put down that Crobat, just really came back to bite him.
Yeah, for sure. And, you know, this is unfortunate, a weakness of Kirkham's deck, you know, that he's using that Mew plus Crobat engine. It's not going to be fantastic against Lost Box because of, like we said, the Sableye plays, dropping that Lost Mine, putting 12 damage counters wherever you like. It's so strong, you know, for navigating your way through wins against engines like that.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think Luke did play it almost perfectly, though. Like, apart from that, you know, stuck the big HP Pokemon, really made it hard for Miloslav to maneuver around, and, you know, was ultimately only 1 turn off winning, essentially. But, yeah, Miloslav just being able to use that Sableye, crazy attacker in its own right, just to spread that damage around. Like you said, even if you did try and go for like the Collapse Stadium play, that would most likely involve having to put down 2 copies of Mew, and then that makes it a moot point anyway. So it's definitely Miloslav in the driver's seat here. But Luke is a fantastic player, and I think if anyone can pull this back, it's him. Because if there is one thing about this Zacian deck, it is fast.
And the thing is with Lost Box, we're going back then to, you know, Kirkham taking advantage of the fact that nobody's knowing how to really play against this. Lost Box being so versatile. Anything that's put in front of it, you know, with a player like Miloslav as well, it's a question of, you know, how do I be this? And, you know, with so many great options in front of you, you've got the Cramorant, you know, just softening up with a little 110. You've got the Sky Steel Stone. You've got the Radiant Greninja plays like we saw there. And with Sableye being such an efficient attacker, you know, it just shows the strength of the deck.
That's the thing. No matter what you're playing against, being able to spread 12 damage counters for 1 edge is nice. Being able to spread 90 in 2 places is also very strong. We've got Snorlax as well. Even Raikou, even if it wasn't swinging for the Sky Steel Stone, it was just applying enough pressure to where, you know, it brought stuff in for KO range. Looking at Miloslav's prizes, though, 2 copies of Colress is interesting, and a Comfey and 2 energies. Not the greatest of prize cards here, but
not the greatest.
Luke has prizes. Huge. 1 copy of Zamazenta, though. He only plays 1 copy, so that means Luke, for all intents and purposes, is a 2-prize attacking deck until that Zacian, that Zamazenta, I should say, comes out active, or could opt to take it right now with that heavy ball. So get out the prizes there. We're going to need you today.
Yeah, no, I think we saw this first turn in a game yesterday in a stream, and such an optimal play. I think it was with the Vikavolt, and he only played 2. So you know, taking full advantage of that Hisui and heavy ball, so great for consistency. And also that you know get to see your prizes isn't always a terrible thing. But for Miloslav, heavily detrimental on the consistency side.
And he's led the Raikou as well,
and leading the Raikou is also big. Yeah, we haven't even focused on that yet. But the start with 2 Colress in the Lost Zone. We saw Alessandro prize 2 Colress in the Lost Zone yesterday, but lucky enough, he had 2 in hand already at the start.
That's
but
all right,
But for Miloslav, it's a question of, how do I navigate my way through this? He's going to be having to put a lot of comp phase down to start getting his engine up and running and start building his hand.
Yeah, and it's interesting because you can afford to have some Chorus prize if you can like start getting groovy with your comp phase. If you lead some, you can start, flower selecting, retreat, flower selecting, scoop up net, all this jazz. But the combination of leading a Raikau, prizing a comp phase, and having 2 Chorus prize could make it hard just to get those cards in the loss zone for sure. Leading the Raikau is kind of dangerous for if you stare him down the jaws of a Zacian V, because Zacian V can get going really fast. But I don't know if Luke actually has access to a Zacian V right now, so maybe the Raikau can. Oh, there's a Crobat coming down again.
Ooh,
what is he?
That's rough.
Hasn't found a Zacian V. You'd really want to try and get Intrepid Sword and really pressure that Raikau, but Miloslav might have got away with this one at least.
Yeah, sure.
Leading that Raikau, and over to him.
It's whether Luke can capitalize on obviously the VIP pass, of course. So we can possibly see the Radiant Greninja and Comfey, but without having access to your Colrus's so early, it puts so much pressure on Lost Zone to navigate around Comfey and continuing to use it to start building up the hand. We know Lost Box's engine is built on navigating your way and building a big hand.
Yeah.
So it puts just that added pressure on your com phase to continue to flower selecting, and it's whether Kirkham can capitalize on that.
And I mean, the good thing is, even though it wasn't a Zacian down, Luke does play a ton of Gust via cross switches, so the Zamazenta can still take prizes on the Comfey, even at the 100 base. So, and it puts a decent HP Pokemon in the active that Cramorant can't just deal with straight away. So, it's not all doom and gloom for Luke there, but putting down the Crobat, it could come back to bite him again.
Yeah, it's rough, and I guess Kirkham can hide behind Zamazenta a little bit. We know that it takes Miloslav a little bit more work to knock out the Zamazenta with its HP and ability, negating another 30 damage to it. So, it's whether Kirkham can capitalize on this and whether Miloslav is going to be able to, start up and running and pop off, I guess.
Yeah, no, 100%. Like I said, it's going to be super interesting if Miloslav can even just get rolling again, because he has to actually maneuver this Raikau as well, and then, start flower selecting, and chances are probably not going to find a Colrus.
Yeah. And
so let's see what happens here then. So we open up some of the VIP Battle Pass. We're going to use a fleet-footed.
Okay. So without seeing your Colrus's early again, it's you're navigating your way through, finding the switching outs, finding the scoop up nets or switch carts. It puts that added pressure on. But we see here
this is an interesting escape rope for Luke, actually, because you can't really promote the Zamazenta, because then you can't Metal Saucer to it.
You don't want that softening up of damage with most probably a Cramorant, but then again, neither is softening up damage on the Crobat. But I guess Luke can, maybe in this game we'll see that collapsed stadium play like we mentioned earlier. We know that Sableye takes a little bit more work to get up and running, requiring the 10 cards in the Lost Zone. But we see here Miloslav quite comfortably building his engine, I guess. Yeah,
I mean, you wouldn't have guessed that the prize cards are really bad for Miloslav the way it's happening now. Managed to get that Raikau straight out the active, so it's sort of not in harm's way, at least for now. That Zamazenta can't dispatch the Raikau, obviously, because the Retaliate needs a prior knockout to get the activation of higher damage. And with no Zacian down, Luke's offensive pressure next turn, I mean, you can just, in theory, go Zacian, attach Saucer cross switcher, but then with Luke's turn not really the greatest, now has a Crobat in the actives, also can't use Mysterious Tail. Miloslav probably assuming that I can have a few, maybe a couple turns here. And look, 3 flower selecting, so far, looking pretty decent.
And we see here, although he's prized the 2 Colrus, we saw yesterday Alessandro, navigating his way through the deck as well. But, with that disadvantage, Lost Box, there's a reason why it's playing the 4 scoop up there, the 3 escape rope,
and there's 3 of them,
the switch cards. It's adding that consistency to the deck to, if it does have the disadvantage, they can still get into the game.
Yeah, and as you can see, yeah, look, even with the bad prizes, you see 3 scoop up nets as forward lost, which now means cameraman now is live. Wow, and a double VIP pass. Wow. And there's the power of the flower selecting engine. You know, if you use 3, which Miroslav has, or was it 4? He's used 4 in total. Sorry, you're looking at what's that? 2, 4, 8 cards, and you're taking 4 of them. Chances are some of them are going to be good. Miroslav's off to the races here. A cameraman into the Crobat is a naughty turn for sure, because that just means that Crobat outside of Collapse Stadium is always going to be in Lost Mine range.
No, yeah, we see the Radiant Greninja being dropped down by Miroslav, wanting that extra consistency. It's such a good utility in these Lost Zone decks. You're seeing more cards. Seeing more cards is always a great thing. We see, the most dominant decks in Pokemon are usually orientated around drawing more.
Yeah.
And as we see here, the Battle VIP here is coming down. We know that he's another Comfey in hand as well, so he's possibly going to pop that down just in case that Luke goes for that play again of cross-switch of the Comfey, disrupt with a Marnie. But here we see the Radiant Greninja seeing another 2 cards. And we're going to see the softening up of the Crobat with the Cramorant if he's able to switch out, of course.
And yeah, that is such a strong turn for Miroslav, being able to immediately punish this Crobat, or for the most part, at least soften it up for the late game. Luke hasn't got the Zacian down, and Miroslav is definitely in such a strong position. I love this position for Miroslav. The only thing he does still need to maneuver this Comfey out the active. We have seen 3 scoop up that's gone already, but you have to imagine Miroslav probably doesn't VIP battle past the Greninja and the Cramorant if he doesn't have another. Oh, and it's an escape rope. So actually, now this is interesting. I wonder if Miroslav had any other switch outs, or was this his only option? Would you rather KO this Mew if you were Miroslav, or damage the Crobat?
I mean, you would. I think you would always want to damage the Crobat. The Mew requires a lot more to maneuver around for Kirkham. It requires a lot more scoop on there, so it means that it's not always going to be an active Pokemon to knock out, because Luke can always play around it with scoop up net. It's a lot harder to get the Collapse Stadium play for Luke. So Miroslav would rather take the softening up with the Crobat. Knocking out the Mew doesn't do too much. I guess it is completely dependent on Luke Kirkham's hand, whether he has outs in his hand, whether the consistency isn't as up and running through the game. Now, I'll
tell you what's just happened here, which I was surprised to see. A Luminion comes flying down, and I tell you what, that could really swing this game back into Luke's favour, because there's a Raikou currently down, and now there is a Luminion. That's 4 prizes that Luke can KO these into 2 attacks. Right, Zacian easy dispatches these, and now this Zamazenta will be live, because this Mew is most likely going to get KO'd here. So I tell you what, it might look like doom and gloom for Luke here, because he had to put down that Crobat and he's taking the KO first turn, but there's 4 prize cards. Lostbox currently has 4 prize cards down on multi-prize Pokemon, and Luke must be thinking, right, I can dispatch these real quick. I have got access to a lot of Gust via cross switches and all this stuff. Retaliate will be live next turn, and I think that might be opening the door for Miroslav here. There we're seeing the sort of drawbacks of having those double Colress prize. Miroslav saying, wait a minute, I haven't found a Colress yet. I'm going to need to find one eventually. Let's Luminion for it now, and that could come back to bite him as well.
I think for Miroslav, putting down the 4 prizes, it's probably that he's going to navigate through this game in terms of prize trades by using this Sky Seal. So putting down 4 prizes, yes, extremely detrimental, but if you can take 3 prizes on the Zacian V-Star, it's not all doom and gloom. We see here, still in a bit of a commanding position. We see Luke there promoting the Crobat. We'll probably see a Bird Keeper play here. But, promoting the Crobat also, it means that we see the Bird Keeper also prized there, so that's not an option to play. But we know that Luke, to be able to use the Zamazenta as well, he's going to be needing to see a Metal Saucer.
Yes.
So we need to see that switch out and that combo play.
Yes, we see Metal Saucer plus switch out here. We're in an ideal world. Could see some cross switches. There's one. There's an Ultra Ball. There's a... Oh, goodness. This would be a good card. Oh, no. Not like this. No, no. And obviously, the Crobat's already been used. So there wasn't even a basic energy, right? So you can't even go Greninja. This might just be an Intrepid Sword. Oh,
it's an Intrepid Sword
no.
from...
There's an energy.
There's an energy. Yeah, so we see the Intrepid Sword for Luke, and Milislav very much in the driving seat now.
Yeah, I think the momentum, what I say with TCG games, there's a lot of momentum, right? You know, as the turn shifts, who can take prize, who can have board control, who can have a more developed board. And I think now Milislav, you know, Luke not taking a prize on turn 2 against a predominantly one prize deck can prove troubling as well. And then this Crobat's probably definitely almost taking a hit now, which brings it in. Yeah, look, I don't really need to do a lot. You didn't do a lot. I need to do a lot. But like this 110, we saw how impactful it was in game 1. And you have to imagine it could be very impactful in this game as well.
Yeah, Milislav thinking, I'm comfortable here. I'm comfortable here. I don't need to do much. You're not doing much, as you said there. You know, you've got the Zamazenta, you've got the Zacian, but I don't see so much of a threat to do anything actively here. So, you know, Milislav saying, I'm built here. I'm set up. You know, this is up to you now as to whether you can retaliate. If you can't, well, I'll take the win.
Yeah, I mean, here we do see the Crobat come down. I mean, Crobat, sorry, the Greninja, I should say. Using that concealed card to try and get Luke back into this game. But what do you think is the most optimal turn Luke can try and do here?
So again, I think his priority is getting out the Zamazenta to start using the Retaliate.
Yeah.
We know that it takes a lot more for Milislav to be able to knock that out. So using the Zamazenta will bring up possibly the Raikou to be able to attack it. You know, we don't see a Zamazenta down from Milislav. Although we know he can bring it up quite easily with a Mirage Gate and a switch and an energy attachment. But for Luke, it's going to be, you know, bring out those 2 prizes for me. Let me knock them out. Let me have a go.
I mean, Brave Blade is very alive this turn, right? Brave Blade, you know, 3 for 230, and it's it's an interesting one because Luke can try and play around the Sky Seal Stone by not V-starring, right? Yeah. Keeping it as a basic, but then you have to start maneuvering around the active every turn. So it's almost like a pick your poison. If you evolve the V-Star, you get more HP and you don't have to dance around the active, but then your Sky Seal Stone is, for Milislav, is live. Yeah. Or you can turn off Sky Seal Stone, stay as a basic, then you have less HP, and you have to dance around the active every turn after Brave Blade. Here we do see the Mew in the active now. Probably going to activate that Mysterious Tail. And let's see what happens here.
So,
it must be an escape rope.
An
escape rope. It's an escape rope.
So we see now, and I think this shows the weakness of Kirkham's deck, unfortunately, is that single prize trade against the Lost Box. Spoke to him earlier. He was taking some swift wins against the 2 prizes, the 3 prizes, of course. But, you know, taking a little bit of a hit against these Lost Box is not so much of a good matchup. And we see that come to fruition here. Yeah,
you can see how this deck, this Zacian V-Star deck, would absolutely dissect multi-prize deck. Like, imagine this against Mew. That Zamazenta can KO Genesect, Zacian V-Star can KO Mew V-Maxes in combination of Choice Spell and or Zigzagoon.
Yeah.
You can see how this would just annihilate. Against stuff like Lugia, for example, you can just try and quickly dispatch the Lugia turn 2 if you're going first via Brave Blade or anything like this. Here we do see some double cross switches, He's going after the Raikou. Still actually hasn't got an attacker set up there. Remember, that Zamazenta isn't live because nothing was KO'd last turn. So does need to get 2 more energies onto that Zacian V. What was this?
So
what was...
Can't see the support that was played there. But we do see the Metal Saucer. If he can be able to attach it,
might have been a Serena, I think.
So Retaliate's still not live.
Yep.
So he'll only be able to take a knockout with the Zacian V. But yeah, looking still for the retreat of Metal Saucer.
Was that an Intrepid?
I believe that was an Intrepid Sword, yeah.
Oh, goodness, yeah. So Milislav again getting away, was getting away with it here. And I mean, I guess the Raikou's in the active. Milislav might need to, well, hopefully get it out the active. Mirage Gate is live though, so it could just even just be like Mirage Gate and I'll take these prizes. But here comes the fleet-footed ability, letting you just take the top card of your deck. Milislav's hand, I imagine, must be quite large. I mean, he didn't do anything last turn, just probably sitting on the resources, just saying, well, I don't need to do anything now. I can just put some pressure on. Let's see what Milislav does here. Definitely debating what's in his hand.
And we see that accordion hand. The accordion hand, like I said earlier. Building that up. And of course, this is what Lost Box does best. You know, building that hand up. So giving themselves a lot of options to be able to play themselves through the game and take the win. Now we see the Mirage Gate possibly coming on to the Raikou. The thing is here for Luke, when does it become too late? When does it become too late to take a prize and say, oh, I'm a bit late here. He's already on 3 prizes. He's already on 4 prizes.
Yeah.
You know, this is an unfortunate circumstance for Luke to be in. And, you know, unfortunately, it's not coming off quite well, this game for him.
Yeah, I guess, you know, when you sort of get to these events, you just played your outs, right? As win cons change, you just played your outs. I think Luke Kirkham's way to win this game is just try and hang around, try and carry this Reich out, fire off Amani mid to late game, and hope it sticks. I think that's the only way Luke can sort of get back in this game. And it's a sensible win con, but when Miroslav off the back of Amani can just go flower select, conceal cards, chances are you will be able to draw out of it at some point. But I think that is Luke's only win con here, and I imagine that's what he's playing towards.
And with a board state like his, you know, he is fully set up for that disruption. You know,
100%.
He's fully set up. He's got the 2 flower selecting. He's got the Radiant Greninja. We know that Luke doesn't play any path to the peak, so he can't turn that off. And you know, unfortunately for Kirkham, you know, he's got that Raikou in front of him. He's, you know, it might be just a bit too late because he's staring down the barrel, if you will.
Yeah, I'd almost imagine Luke's just playing here, just trying not to trying not to lose almost. But it's a shame that he lost game 1 because, unfortunately, here, you know, if this game wasn't to end, it will go to Miroslav. But here we see the double Mirage getting. Here actually something that haven't really spoke about here is the Luminion. Being able to KO with Mew and or the Crobat with Aqua Return and removing that 2 prizes that I was so bullish on Miroslav putting down, thinking that could really come back to bite him. But let's not make no mistake about it. You can Aqua Return, remove it, take a prize card, maybe even 2 prize cards, and then you can save it as well to be an out off the back of Amani. You can just grab a supporter, and that looks like it might be what we're seeing, and just putting that Greninja on 10 HP left
10
and
HP.
removing that 2 prize option as well.
And we talk about softening up. You know, it's got that Greninja on 120. We see the Crobat on 110 as well. You know, it's navigating its way through a really effective Lost Mine here.
Yeah, you have to. I was literally about to say, Lost Mine is looking gorgeous for a 3 prize turn next turn. And you have to imagine that's what Miroslav is lining up. You know, already has Mirage get off. Does actually still need to get a few more cards in the Lost Zone to get that Lost Mine to be activated. But you have to imagine. And there's the Collapse Stadium. There it is.
So
see,
we finally be able to get it off.
Yeah. And what did Miroslav remove there? Oh, he didn't have a full bench. His Aqua Return, didn't he?
And what's great here for Kirkham as well, you know, he plays Scoop Up Net, so he can completely negate that last turn.
Oh, here we go. Wait, was that another Intrepid?
I believe it was. I believe it was an Intrepid.
Was it an Intrepid?
Yeah.
Also, jeez. just as he was getting back into it, we saw the hype Collapse Stadium, and all of a sudden you just have to end the turn with an Intrepid.
It's unfortunate that he wasn't able to capitalise.
That would have been the turn to maybe start firing off a comeback, but no, can't bench that. There's a Collapse Stadium. There is a Collapse Stadium. That Oranguru cannot be benched right now.
Oranguru can't be.
Oh no, don't use it! Oh, no. That Oranguru.
So we'll just see.
Yeah, so I mean, hopefully that's because we know what the cards are. But that we have got a table judge there, so the judge will look after that.
The judges will.
They will look after that. Yeah. So. But yeah, it's a shame Kirkham couldn't capitalise. You know, it might have been starting to swing the pendulum of power there with that Collapse Stadium. Imagine, because it's like Collapse, remove the Crobat, fire off a Brave Blade, or I'm not even sure what the Zacian V-Star attack is, but use that maybe. Stick this 270 HP Pokemon in Reactive and say, deal with this. But unfortunately, not. But
it's still asking a lot for Kirkham. We know that as a combo deck. We've seen this engine before with the Mew, with the Crobat. You have to draw into the right cards at the right time. But unfortunately, like you said, wasn't able to capitalize. He would have loved to have seen the Scoop Up Net on the Radiant Greninja. It would have completely negated Miloslav's last turn. And I guess with the Collapse Stadium and the Scoop Up Net, it's a great way to counter the Lost Mine plays.
Yes, 100%, you know, actually.
It's something that he's probably thought of. But, you know, like I said, unfortunately wasn't able to capitalize on it. And, you know, it's going back to Kirkham's when is it too late?
Yes.
When is it too late? Because we know that Radiant Greninja probably would have been knocked out last turn. In that last turn. So, you know, it's just asking that question, you know, when am I starting to become offensive?
Yeah, I think if that Luminion didn't Aqua Return, I still think Luke could have easily, I think, won this game. You can just try and fire off some super aggressive turns, taking 4 prizes in 2 turns, and then just, just KO 2 comp phase or anything like this. But as it stands now that we saw another off turn of attacking, I think we're turn 3 or 4 of this game, and Luke hasn't attacked yet. It might be starting to creep away from him, but we're still here. Game day 2, all to play for. You're definitely not going to give up, are you? You're going to try hardest and play to your outs. Maybe he's just going to try and take a KO, fire off the Marnie, and just hope that you can just go Zacian V-Star, Zacian V-Star, Zacian V-Star, just like, I don't know, 4 or 5 times, and just hope that you can get away with it like this. And I think that's the win con.
And I think with Luke as well, we know that Lost Box doesn't play that many boss, many gusting. We saw that he was taking his time with the Intrepid Swords, attach, pass over to you, I'm setting up here. And once he's set up, then he can start playing the Disruption. Then he can start playing the Marnie and then saying, I know that you need Scar Steel Stone. I know 100%. That you need it to capitalize on the prize trade. Well, not necessarily, but most probably asking that question. Of Miloslav. So and as well, the thing is with the Raikou as well, the damage is based, of course, on the amount of bench Pokemon. Luke can capitalize that. He can start using the scoop up nets. He can start using the collapse stadium like he's done there.
If it doesn't move.
No, for sure. So what would you say is Luke's priority now going into this game?
I think Luke's priority needs to be, as it stands now, because the Raikou's gone. Is the Raikou still around, or the Raikou being...
The Raikou is still around.
So I think what Luke needs to try and do, I think that Zacian might have a choice belt on it as well, I believe. Just going to try and KO the Raikou with a Zacian V-Star. It has got a choice belt, so try and get a KO on that Raikou with the Zacian V-Star, and you have to start taking prizes really fast. Oh, and we just had confirmation that was a double prize penalty, and I tell you what, that's one way to get back into the game, I guess. Luke only now has to take 4 prizes to win this game, and tell you what, that Luminous, that Luminion going away. But now, I think Luke has to be back in it now, right? There's 2 prizes on that Raikou. That Raikou can't get scoop up netted. That hasn't got an Aqua Return attack, so that's going to stay there. So now Luke just has to take 4 prize cards to win this game, and all of a sudden,
Luke's back.
Luke is back, and it's...
he's back in business for sure.
Back in business. It's all to play for here.
It's all to play for. We see the Zacian, like we said before, he started his turn slowly and setting up. He's got the Zacian
here we go.
Ready.
Here we go. We can look at the speed Luke's playing with. It's starting to cook with fire now. Here we go. Conceal cards with Radiant Greninja, drawing 2. We'd love to see a boss's orders here. We do see the Zacian V-Star. Do we have some Gust? No, we don't have some Gust, unfortunately. But so now
it's still a strong knockout.
Luke needs to take 3 prize cards now. 3 prize cards. Still a little bit of time left in this game as well. I think Luke can definitely still win this.
Well, Luke definitely still has 2 more turns left. The Raikou's not going anywhere. We know that Miloslav doesn't play any sort of, Volo or anything like that.
Volo, that would have worked.
So, that's still on board. We know that he now needs to only take out 2 prizes. And not only that, but he has a Zacian V-Star in front of him that is so hard to deal with.
Imagine a situation Miloslav manufactured, right? A Crobat with 110 damage, a Greninja with 120 damage. Luke's just erased all of that and stuck a 270 HP Pokemon in the active that Miloslav has no way of hitting for weakness as well. And just said, go on and deal with this. And I tell you what, Miloslav can't deal with this in 1 turn. It's just not possible. So Luke just has to take 3 prize cards now, 3 prize cards at a minimum of 2 turns as well. Very possible since that Raikou is around.
It was most interesting to see, that Radiant Greninja not being knocked out by Miloslav on Kirkham's board. Kirkham's Radiant Greninja, because we know that Kirkham could just easily scoop that up, and that's exactly what we've seen. So, I think Miloslav's way to win this game now is most definitely going to be that Sky Steel Stone.
Yes. I think before that wasn't really a necessity, but now I think you're right, 100%. That's going to have to be tried and utilised. It's going to be a race. Can Miloslav activate Sky Steel Stone with the Raikou and capitalise, or can Luke remove the Raikou and just really put the pressure on? It's definitely all to play for. And I tell you what, I'm excited because this game was starting to, I feel, slip away from Luke, and it might not have had much of a win con, but now all it takes is all it takes is just Luke to get back in it now. It's just taking 3 prize cards over 2 turns, as I imagine time will probably get called on this turn.
Yeah, for sure. And, you know, Miloslav, as we said earlier, he needs to soften up this V-Star.
And he puts the Luminion down as well,
okay.
which I guess since Luke needs to take 3 prizes might not be as relevant now.
No.
Yeah.
Well, I think for the Miloslav here, you know, he hasn't even played a Colress this game, I don't believe.
He Luminion for 1. Okay. What's Miloslav cooking up here then? Are we going to maybe see, try and see like a stall turn?
Yeah, maybe see a stall play, maybe boss up that Zacian V on the bench. We know that Kukin plays plenty of switch outs, of course.
Yeah, he does, including cross switcher, which would be the ideal ones, I believe, you'd want to try and see.
Yeah, for sure. If you want to play aggressive, that's definitely the option. You know, we could see the stall play on the Zacian, but like I said, in order to use Brave Blade, of course, it does come with that downside of not being able to attack next turn. So we need to see Kirkham playing. And you're right,
because Miloslav didn't do anything last turn, right? No, so I think his hand might be a bit clogged up, some sort of the problems when you prize 2 Colress. And I tell you what, if Miloslav just leaves this Zacian in the active and has to pass it over.
And I don't see a switch out in that hand. I see. Oh, we see the Marnie, so he is able to get it off the Marnie, of course.
Oh goodness! I mean, yeah, but Marnie, that is a risk, isn't it? That's risky city. I feel as if that Marnie's going to have to treat Luke well. He will have a top deck as well.
Yeah.
Doesn't even have an energy to conceal cards, so I guess he has concealed cards on the back of mine. Okay, this is a big turn for Luke. What has he got? He's looking for the deck. It must be a quick ball, I imagine. We'll just see in here.
So we see two cross switcher. We see the air balloon as well. So you can imagine he's going to be trying to... Oh, he's going to energy search. Thinning is winning.
Yep, energy. So energy search turns on your concealed cards now, right? So
yeah, for sure.
So you got a 2-card dig before your Marnie. That's a really interesting decision. Would you rather conceal cards now or on the other side of the Marnie? It's an interesting decision, man.
It's an interesting decision, and it'll be interesting to see how Luke prioritizes this now. So I believe getting the energy out, he'll definitely be using concealed cards.
Yeah,
now.
he will be now. Yeah. All right, so this is a big turn here. I imagine we're going to see concealed cards. Let's see what this concealed cards gets him. Can I actually do some more thinning as well? Maybe take out some basic Pokemon decks, such as Drapion or something.
With the quick ball for sure.
Here we see concealed cards. Big 2 cards. What are these going to be? 1, trekking shoes, scoop up net. Oh, I mean, trekking shoes. It's an insta play. It's an insta play. I'm guessing. Oh, what is that 1 card there? I imagine that might have been a cross switcher. I imagine he would have picked that up straight away. Yeah, I think it might be a cross switcher. He consulted the hand to see if he had one already. He did not. Did take it. Well,
oh, it's training court.
Okay. Okay, training court. I mean, that means you can now maybe start digging with a Crobat.
So he can easily scoop up the Radiant Grenade.
Yeah, another 2 cards.
Again.
What are these? Air balloon.
Air balloon. Air balloon. Air balloon. He does have the cross switcher as well, unfortunately on the other hand, but is able to use the air balloon, of course, on the Zacian, so he can retreat right back into that Zacian V-Star.
So I guess, I mean, in ideal world, you would want to try and gust this turn, but I mean, this is going to be, I imagine, turn 1. So Luke can still take 2 prizes next turn to win.
Yeah.
Gets the energy down on the Zacian. And this is a strong position. You know, training court's live, which means, you know, Luke can definitely get use of concealed cards next turn. And this is getting dicey. Miroslav hasn't done a lot, and Miroslav needs to, deal quickly.
I can't see a route of him winning here. We know that he only does 220 maximum with the Raikou.
Yeah.
We know that that's way out of range for Zacian V-Star. So now, I guess we're switching over to the how do I not lose phase.
I think you're 100% correct.
You know. But unfortunately, I can't see how Kirkham wouldn't be able to switch out. We've got 2 Pokemon that he can scoop up there. We've got the Zamazenta with 2 energy on it, and now a Zacian with 2 energy on it and an air balloon. So there's nothing really able to gust up, no prime targets. So it's a question of whether...
Was that a pass?
Yeah, does Kirkham have the gust?
So can Kirkham find the gust? He has 1 cross switcher in hand already. Does need to try and find 1 more or Serena. That will work.
We know he doesn't play any Luminion, so he isn't able to find any from any Pokemon effects. Other than concealed cards, he does have one.
Shaking his
head. He does have 1 concealed card.
It's a big concealed card. Does he get a cross switcher or Serena? Doesn't look like it, does it?
No.
Oh no. Is there any other option? Can you? No, it doesn't look like it. And
it's unfortunate. Maybe he could have Marnied last turn to try and get himself into the gust ready for next turn.
Yeah.
You know, but he obviously saw something in his hand to keep.
The one cross switcher, I believe,
yeah,
right?
the one cross switcher. He did keep that in hand. Maybe it was more to his outs to be able to hold on to that cross switcher to draw into next turn. We know the Greninja was still active. But, you know, that Miroslav still played that really well despite the DPL. You know, he played to his outs, as we like to say. So, you know, Miroslav takes the win, and he's going into the next round 8-2-1.
Yeah, fantastic start for him. You have to imagine almost getting away with it there, unfortunately getting that DPL, but managing to still squeak that win there. And commiserations for Luke. I feel as if he played that really well. A few unfortunate draws at the end, and let's not forget, he did actually prize one copy of Cross Switcher and one copy of Serena. Yeah. Both would have been out. And, you know, maybe looking back on it, maybe playing that Marnie to see, you know, a fresh 4, maybe you get Scoop Up Net and a Greninja and try and you see more cards that way. But it's easy to say that now in hindsight when we can see everything. And I still feel as if he played extremely well and navigated it really well, I should say. But what a fantastic game, though.
No, huge. It's such a good game. And like you said, it's something that he was seeing that what possibly we weren't.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
But, you know, his day's not over. He's still going to the next round 7-3-1. It's still a strong record.
Very strong.
3 rounds left. But for Miroslav, you know, he's in such a strong position now for a good placement in this regionals.
Yeah, and let's not make no mistake about it. Miroslav played that extremely well as well, navigating that game too, even with a DPL, managing to still squeak out, and for the most part, dead drawing as well.
Yeah, for sure.
And managed to, like you said, play not to lose and doing that successfully, and fair play to him.
We've seen another Lost Box here take the win despite 2 Colrus in the prizes. Yeah. And it just goes to show how consistent this deck is, you know, opting to keep all of the switch outs in deck so they can keep in the game. But not only that, but Miroslav just shown how strong the deck is against an opponent you definitely wouldn't have expected in this tournament.
Yeah, like if I was Miroslav, I'm sat down and my opponent flips over a Zacian V, I'm thinking, what's going on here then? Is there like is ADP come back in format? What's going on?
Is this Malmo 2020?
Yeah. And then to see the Zacian V-Star come down, I'm thinking, wait a minute.
No, yeah.
I'm not even sure what this card does.
If Luke was popping down the ADP, I'd probably raise my hand. But no. He's probably still stuck in those days.
Yeah. But all commiserations to Luke, though. You love to see it, you know. What a fun story to tell, you know, like you said, the day before the event, messaging all the friends. Rabbi is saying, you know, have you got this? Have you got that? Successfully finding them, which is the first hurdle.
Yeah,
and then playing them, getting it into day 2. And like you said, even though it did unfortunately lose that one, it's still in a very fine position to maybe start getting towards a top cut.
And like you said, he can be super proud of himself. You know, he's taken a deck that, you know, he obviously would have tested this so well going into this tournament. You know, it's not something that you can just pick up and play.
No.
You know, it's going to be cards that you may not have seen for a long time, like Zacian V. So let's have a look at the Lost Box deck. Let's have a look at it. Let's take a review and let's take it all in. And let's have a look at the engine.
And then after that,